So here again is Edwin Catmull. I don't know I don't think either of those two were members of the church, but the University of Utah clearly is embedded in the culture of Salt Lake City and its origins. The university's origins go back to Brigham Young. So he worked with Steve Jobs. They were working again at his doctoral degree was computer graphics and three-dimensional curves. So getting the curves right in math, that's the hard part, right? Nature is all about curves, and getting the curves right is tricky. So he was doing texture mapping and curves, and to try to creating systems that would help build the metaverse. But in the meantime, it was building up a digital media empire, or adding to Disney's digital media empire. I'm not sure where to go with this, but there was a whole article and a number of references that say that Ed Catmull has aphantasia, which is interesting because of like Fantasia being the Disney movie, but aphantasia, that when you close your eyes and try to picture something, you can't picture anything. And that evidently in many high-level animators, that's not unusual, that people have that mental, that whereas other people can picture something in their mind's eye, they can't. So I think that's interesting. So he created this technology. It got pulled into the Industrial Light and Magic with George Lucas, and then in 1986, Steve Jobs bought it. And then in 2006, it became part of Disney. And so he was part of this sort of business makeover of Disney through Pixar. But, for the life of me, I'd never heard of there being any connection between Disney and Salt Lake City or Utah before. So there's a whole chapter in this book. And I'm not sure why they say the Mormon influence at Disney, because I know the members of the church usually use LDS, but that's how it's framed. But there's some key figures in the early history of Disney that actually go back to the church and to Utah. This gentleman, Eric Larson, he was a key animator for Disney. He was a member of the church. He started out in 1937 doing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and pretty much every single major Disney film, like throughout my childhood and into the 80s, Eric Larson had some role in. So in Snow White, he animated the forest animals and some of the dwarves. In Pinocchio, he was the animation director for Figaro, Cleo, marionettes and donkeys. Later on, he was an animating advisor for Thumper and the Owl. He was sort of a key figure. And what I found out later, these are called the 9 Old Men. Disney had these animators they called the 9 Old Men, and he was one of them. And then when the time came to train the next generation of animators, that was his special talent, was sort of being a mentor to younger animators. So he was very central. And there were other individuals that were key between the church and Disney as well during this time.